Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I have my lovely friend Dona here, who also lives in Bali and is also a part of the same online community that I am. And I thought it would just be really cool for her to share her story and tell a little bit more about her journey, because right now, so many people are really looking into online options and different ways of supporting themselves. So I thought it'd be cool to hear Dona's journey and take it from there. So do you want to just share a little bit about your path, Dona?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. So yes, my name is Dona. I'm originally from California, and pretty much my whole life, I've known I wanted to travel and live this life kind of outside of the box. I've always felt a little bit different than my peers and my parents. I just saw the world differently. But yet, I still found myself following the normal path, right? Of like doing just good enough in school so I could go to university, then doing good enough so that I could go on and get a master's degree, so that I could go get a job and all of the things. But always on my heart, I was traveling, and I was building, Habitat for Humanity homes in Fiji during my summers, and I study abroad in Africa, and then traveling, taking 6 months off and just going and hitchhiking around the world by myself in my 20s. And there was just always something pulling me to something different, something bigger, something more exciting than just a regular routine life.
Oh, I can
And
so.
then fast forward a few years, and I was married and had kids, and we had been homeschooling. And I was really giving my kids this amazing life in California. But my husband was working 50, 60 hours a week in a job that he hated, and just
Gosh.
was missing out on this incredible life that we were creating for our two girls. And that was always the rub for me. And I know this is the same for so many homeschooling families. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I love getting to stay home with my kids. I love the childhood we're creating for them, but my partner is missing out on all of it. And that just became more and more and more uncomfortable as the years went on. And it was about 4 years ago where my husband then started having panic attacks, and his body was riddled in pain. And we were only in our mid 30s, but he felt like he was like a 70-year-old man, 80-year-old man. And we were just like, we can't continue to do this.
Yeah.
And we really had felt like we were trapped, because he was making a 6-figure income in San Francisco, and we had an incredible, benefits, and we're traveling all of the time for work, but yet it felt so uncomfortable. And so we just got to this point where we're like, all right, screw it. Let's just quit our life in California and actually go out and just do what we want to do. And let's see what happens. And so when we made that decision, then that's exactly when I started, looking at stuff online and really getting serious about, okay, how are we going to replace this income? Because I had done the bare bones budget traveling in my 20s, and I didn't want to do that again. I
Yeah.
wanted to go and experience the world and be able to stay in nicer places when we felt like it, and pay for tours and experiences, and not feel like we were just sort of scrimping by.
I can
And
totally
yeah,
relate
so
to
that's
that.
yeah, so that's really kind of how I came into the online space, because I knew I needed an income that could come with us, so that we weren't just eating through our savings. Because ultimately, if we were doing that, that means we were just going to have to come back and get jobs again and get back into that cycle of, careers and earning money.
Totally, totally. Well, it's that whole philosophy of like trading time for money, like look at what happened to your husband. His health started to decline because of like the intensity behind this must make money, must fit into society, must do it this way. It really, really wears people down. And, you guys were obviously designed to live in a totally different way. So I'm so glad that you were able to find an option that worked for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like you, and you were sharing your story a bit ago, and that, teaching English online, and I was shopping for Instacart, and I was, doing ghostwriting for various authors, and I was like trying all of these things, trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
But it all came down to trading time for money. And I just got to this point where I was like, look, I don't want to live my life making $15 or $20 an hour
Exactly.
and having to put my kids on a screen so that I can work. because going to school wasn't really something that was even in the cards for us. That's not what any of us wanted. And so I didn't have the 8 hours a day where my kids are in school or childcare that I could just work for somebody else and create an income. I really needed to be able to find something that could be done around my kids and in the pockets of time that we have as moms, especially when you're traveling. Like, life isn't the same every single day. So
exactly. And something that actually gives you the abundance in order to do the things that you really love to do. That was really, really key for my journey as well. Like if we don't have the time and the means to do the things that we love, we're really not free. So yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up. So we kind of started at about the same time. What would you say is what would you love to know? What would you love the audience to know most about your journey? Like maybe something that you overcame, or just your overall, what is one piece of advice that you'd give somebody thinking about this lifestyle?
That being an entrepreneur is tough. And if anybody is online telling you like it's quick money, it's easy money, you can do anything, like bullshit detector. Exactly. Big time. Not to say that you can't make money quickly and, straight off the bat, I was making money, utilizing the strategy that we both utilize within about 2 months, from going from nothing to, making my first sales and being able to actually support our family. So it happened relatively quickly for me, but I also put in the work. Right. And I was learning new skill sets. I was being the best freaking student I could possibly be. And everything my mentors were telling me to do, I would go out and do it. Right. Not questioning, not saying, oh, like, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to try that. Like, hook up with somebody who's a couple steps ahead of you, who can guide you and tell you what actually works. Because we live in a day and age of total information overload. And yes, you could go watch all the YouTube videos. You could go sign up for courses. Like, the information's out there. It's not rocket science how to make money in the online space. But you need somebody in your life who's going to hold you accountable, who's going to tell you these are the exact steps, and do it, and really put that fire under your ass, because a lot of us are just lazy, or we get overwhelmed with all of the things. And so you don't know what to put your attention on. And so that's probably how I've been as successful as I have, is because I've been really super coachable. I let my ego go and was like, okay, I know nothing about this. Teach me everything you know and let me implement it.
Exactly. Being coachable, I think, is absolutely key. And I was in the same kind of boat. I literally did everything that my mentors suggested. And I feel that that's, probably why both of us experience such quick results. Because some people like to cherry pick and go, well, that makes me a little bit uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do that piece. I'm going to go look over here and do this thing. But it comes down to, when you've got people who have walked this path and have paved the way, they have the roadmap, they know how to get to where you want to go. So is it uncomfortable sometimes? Yes. Do you need to get out of your comfort zone? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately going to take you to where, you want to be. And you're such a shining example of that. So I see all the work you put in.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I tell people all the time is like, if you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, then you're never going to get to the magic on the other side, because everything you've done up until this point has gotten to where you are in your life. And if you desire for something different, you've got to do something different.
Exactly. If nothing changes, nothing changes. You have to take new actions in order to produce different results. So yeah, I'm totally in agreement with that. That's one of the key things that determines success in pretty much all areas of life, I think. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was an awesome answer. Just to wrap it up, if you could go back in time and say something to your 16-year-old self, so 16-year-old Dona, what do you think is the most important thing she needs to know for her journey ahead?
Absolutely. And I tell this to my kids literally every day, is listen to the callings on your heart, not to what society is telling you to do.
Yes.
I was very much wrapped up in this life of, well, I've got to get good grades so I can go to university, so I can go get a master's degree, so that I can get a good job. Right? Because that's the path that was laid out in front of me. It always felt itchy and uncomfortable. I was like, there's got to be more to life than than this, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't have any role models around me who were sharing a different way with me. And so I just followed the path. But I think back to what really lit me up and what excited me when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. And it always came back to living at the ocean. And so back then I was like, okay, I'll go be a marine biologist because I'll have to live by the beach if I'm a marine biologist, right? And so I went and I studied sciences and, ended up kind of doing a totally different path and went into international public health because I wanted to travel and I wanted to like explore different parts of the world. But I did that for the right reason, but for the wrong reason too, And so, really just tapping into our own inner guidance and knowing and trusting it. And I think this is the biggest gift that as a mom now I can give to my own kids is one, not only being a kind of a way shower for them and showing them that we're living a life that's completely outside of any sort of box of the 9-to-5 corporate world, go to university, go get a job sort of thing, but also reminding them and not letting them lose touch with their own truth, because kids know it. Kids have it. They've got access to it, but it gets beat out of them, right? And then, and I know I spent my 20s and 30s like really fumbling around trying to find my way back to that truth that I knew when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And so one of the biggest missions on my heart right now is raising a generation of kids who never lose that truth.
Exactly. We totally forget who we really are. And, so many of the path is always shown when you look back to your childhood, because that's like the most innocent, pure aspect of you that knew all along what she or he wanted. So it's like tapping back into that. And it's like, what did I want as a child? And just throwing away all of the conditioning. So I love how you articulated that. That's amazing that you're giving your children that gift to really enable them to walk that path and to never really forget who they are. And they're not going to have to worry about all the density and the heaviness and the conditioning of what we had to go through. So that's so beautiful. Like your kids are going to be like the most well-rounded, magical beings when they get into adulthood, because you've done this.
I hope so. I mean, I'm probably fucking them up in some other way, but do what you can do.
It happens, but I'm telling you, this is a big gift.
I hope so.
Oh, well, your journey has been so amazing to watch. Just one last thing for anyone watching this, listening to Dona's story and thinking, I really want to know more about this. I really want to, explore this option of working online. What would you say to people who are kind of at that stage and just not quite sure where to start?
Reach out and ask questions, right? I know Candace and I are both totally open books and so happy to share our journey, share what we've learned, and help you to feel if this is even going to be a good fit for you or not. Like whether you go into the online space or, you just want to take a year off to go travel with your family, or you want to buy that amazing piece of property so that you can start a permaculture garden. Like, I don't care what it is, go out and live your life, go out and make your dreams your reality.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
The longer you sit in that fear, the longer you sit with indecision, and that's the discomfort, and you end up not ever moving forward.
Exactly.
But what I've learned on my journey is you make the decision and you just start walking that direction. And then the universe literally morphs and shifts around you, puts opportunities in front of you, puts people, who are going to be beneficial to this path in front of you. And you just keep saying yes to everything that feels good and that feels in alignment. Exactly. And you keep taking action. And before you know it, you're living that whatever it is that you want to be living.
Exactly. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. It's literally like opening a door that leads to another door and another door and another door and another door. And literally your path is just shown to you when you take that first step. And like about the fear piece, once you face your fear, the fear literally disappears. I've seen that in all areas of my life. Like something that I am shit scared of doing, or that thing over there that my intuition's like, you got to do it. You got to do it. It's going to change everything. And I'm like, oh, but I'm scared. As soon as I do that thing, like literally like quantum leaps, like everything changes. So yeah, I love how you shared that. Yeah, it's just about taking the first step and really trusting.
Yeah, and actually on that note, there's an amazing video that Kyle Cease has done. It's on YouTube, and it basically walks you through that process of like writing out 50 to 100 things that you want to do in your life. Like if you realize in your life that you're just living in a dream and you have a magic wand and you're like, okay, now I want to go do this. Okay, now I want to go do this. What are all those things? Right? And actually writing them out all on a page. And he takes you through this kind of this experience of recognizing what are your dreams, what are the hopes for your life, and then what are your excuses and why aren't you doing it? Right? And that's a really important piece, because when you realize what your excuses are, they're just excuses. And if you keep living from your excuses, you're going to live in fear, you're going to live in uncertainty, you're going to live in, not really ever moving forward.
Exactly. And they're really just beliefs, and beliefs can be changed. Like, we're both learning right now all about like neuroplasticity with some work by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and like all of these things can be changed. So yeah, that's a whole other topic entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll wrap it up. We don't want to keep going on forever, even though we probably could. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dona. It was such a pleasure, and I will see you around Bali soon.
Amazing. Chat soon.
Chat soon. Okay, where's my reporter?